Good evening. I'd like to call to order this Highland Park Board of Education hybrid workshop voting meeting. Today, Tuesday, January 27th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. The public is invited to participate in public comment either in person or virtually. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of the public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the Highland Park Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting, setting forth the time, date, and location to be submitted for publication to the Home News Tribune and Courier News, and posted on the board's website at least 48 hours in advance of this meeting. Members of the public who wish to address the board will be given the opportunity to do so before the board adjourns for the evening.
Roll call. Dr. Beatty. Ms. Casaldon.
Here.
Dr. Coleman. Mr. Maldonado.
Here.
Dr. Pixley. Ms. Bruce. Dr. Schoolman. Ms. Daniel.
Here.
Ms. Bardman.
Here. Be it resolved pursuant to the Sunshine Act, the Highland Park Board of Education will now meet in closed session to discuss the matters relating to HIB and a personnel matter. These exemptions are permitted to be discussed in closed session in accordance with the NJSA 10:4-13. Information regarding the board's closed session discussion will be disclosed to the public as soon as the need for confidentiality no longer exists. I move that we go to executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So I move that we reconvene to regular session.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I came out. I'm in favor. Hello?
Now make sure you're all my thought ready to go.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So turn your phone up. You're voting. Test.
I think I had it. Yeah, there we go. Hello?
All set. The new mics, new mics. New tech.
Dr. Beatty.
Here.
Ms. Casaldon.
Here.
Dr. Coleman. Mr. Maldonado.
Here.
Dr. Pixley.
Here.
Ms. Bruce.
Here.
Oh, hi, Ms. Bruce.
Hi
Dr.
there.
Schoolman.
Good, Sarah.
I did not hear Sarah.
I'm
Sarah?
here.
Oh, everyone's here. Dr. Schoolman.
Here.
Ms. Daniel.
Here.
Ms. Bardman.
Here. Okay, so now it's time for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we had a number of communications to the district around a complaint. Follow-up questions regarding math curriculum. Congratulations from Keith Presti from the HPEA to our new board. And a question around background and medical test requirements for chaperones, and questions and suggestions regarding the advanced learning program at Bartle. We have approval of minutes. I move.
Second.
And this is an all in favor, or is it a roll call?
No.
Okay.
Dr. Beatty.
Yes.
Ms. Casaldon.
Yes.
Mr. Maldonado,
Yes.
Dr. Pixley,
Yes.
Ms. Bruce,
Yes.
Dr. Schoolman,
Yes.
Ms. Stanio,
Yes.
Ms. Vardaman.
Yes. And now we have the student representative report.
Hello. Unfortunately, Lami couldn't make this meeting, so I'll cover the updates for both of us. Starting off with Irving, January was a busy one here at Irving. We welcomed the new year with our first graders enjoying a program from Bricks for Kids. They practice working together towards a goal, problem solving, and their awesome creations are in their front lobby. The high school cheerleaders also keep Irving kick off a booster-thon fundraiser. The students and staff love their energy cheer. For this week, if we meet our fundraising goal of $7,500 PJs on Thursday, and if 65% of the students are registered, it's Pie Miss McNally Day. We are thankful for any participation as this is our largest PTO fundraiser of the year that provides programming and wonderful enrichment opportunities for our students. We will end the month with a visit from the High School Robotics Club this week. Our kindergarten students will be heading to the State Theater on February 4th, and we will celebrate Global Play Day on February 5th due to the trip. More information will be coming home with our students. And for Bartle School, a big thank you to the Bartle PTO for organizing our biggest fundraiser of the year, the Bartle Dance Fit. Bartle community, please keep those donations coming in. All funds raised will go to our funding field trips. Our goal is $18,000. Our Dance Fit event will be Friday, January 30th, and if 65% of the students register on mybooster.com, we will have a hallway dance party. If we raise $6,000, we will have a game day, and if we raise $12,000, Miss Baldizone and Miss Knapp will perform a TikTok dance. If we raise $18,000, there's a mystery surprise. If we get donations from 35 states, Miss Baldizone and Miss Knapp will get duct taped to the wall during a whole school morning meeting. And they will be celebrating the Global Day of Play on Wednesday, February 4th. And for the middle school, even with the cold weather, January has been a warm, energetic month. Calling all musicians, students and parents are invited to perform solos, duets, or part of a band at Pinos on March 1st. All proceeds will benefit project graduation, and please email Scott Shannon if interested. We are happy to announce that we will be taking our 6th grade students to the Liberty Science Center on March 12th, our 7th grade students to Medieval Times on April 16th, and our 8th grade students to Dorney Park on June 9th. Please refer to Miss Owl's weekly email, her OWL outline, for all information. This year, we will be recognizing middle school pride, the core values we believe help our school and students grow. And for the month of January, they'll be focusing on discipline. This week's winners were Adia Garcia, Daisy Lucero Maceda, and Mrs. Byers' entire class. Congratulations. In addition, we are focusing on the discipline of showing up. If you look at the wall, you'll see our new attendance mountain, and their school-wide goal is to ensure that no more than 20% of their students are marked as chronically absent. And they've turned it into a race. Every day you show up on time, you help your grade level skier move closer to the finish line on their attendance mountain. The grade level that shows the most discipline and reaches the bottom will win a grade level prize. And currently, the 8th and 6th graders are tied for best attendance, and they want everyone to keep up the great work. And lastly, for the high school, January has been an exciting month for them. We were thrilled to welcome a real-life owl to campus through the Raptor Trust as we honored our golden owls, students recognized for demonstrating openness, wisdom, leadership, and or service. A special thank you to Mr. McCrae for organizing this unforgettable experience. And in addition, Dr. Mortiaro hosted Kelly Zinn, Rutgers University Athletic Director, for an engaging evening centered on leadership, collegiate athletics, and the student-athlete experience. We had an elective fair on the 23rd where students learned all about the incredible elective classes offered at the high school. On the 27th, we will observe Holocaust Remembrance Day with a guest speaker and reflective processing activities led by our Jewish Student Union. Molly Yuen is preparing their trip to Philadelphia to compete at a debate conference, visit the Third Circuit Court of Appeals, discuss democracy with other students in a Philadelphia high school, and tour sites representing American democracy. 25 global citizenship students are also in the research phase of their projects, meeting regularly with future social studies teachers from the Rutgers GSE and preparing to pitch their projects at Rutgers in the spring. And for their final update regarding DECA, Highland Park competed at the district competition on Friday, January 9th. They had numerous state qualifiers and top 3 award winners. Overall, they're taking 70 students to compete at states in Atlantic City this March. Athletics also continue to shine with 4 top 10 finishes at the Group 1 state championships in winter track. Winter sports have showcased a high level of competitiveness from our student athletes, with teams consistently performing at a strong standard against conference opponents. Their commitment, energy, and competitive mindset have been evident throughout the season and continue to elevate the overall athletic profile of our district. And that's all for the January updates.
Thank you so much. Okay, any questions? Okay, well, thank you. And now it's the superintendent's report.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for braving the elements, the tundra as I'm calling it, to come out tonight. To first, I'm excited to celebrate two well-deserving high school students. So I'd like to pass over the podium and the mic to Dr. Christina Donovan, high school principal. Welcome.
Excellent. Okay, we're here to recognize two of our outstanding students. I'm going to start with our senior, Jeremiah Musa. Jeremiah is an exceptional student whose leadership, achievement, and service are evident through his involvement in both the band program and tech crew. Having taught him since he began clarinet in 4th grade and throughout high school, Mr. Presti witnessed his remarkable growth as a musician and leader. He is now a multi-instrumentalist who performs in concert band, jazz band, pep band, and pit orchestra, and serves as band president, leading with preparation, reliability, and a genuine commitment to the success of others. As head of tech, he has developed advanced skills in sound and lighting and supports concerts and theatrical productions while mentoring younger students. He helped me out today with our Holocaust Remembrance Day. He is also the lead builder on the robotics team. Dependable, talented, and deeply committed, Jeremiah elevates every program he is part of and is highly deserving of this recognition. Congratulations, Jeremiah. And we have another exceptional student here with us this evening, Jules Sasso. Jules consistently demonstrates outstanding responsibility and engagement in her learning. She is diligent about completing her work, advocates for herself when she needs support, and asks thoughtful questions to deepen understanding. An active participant in class discussions, she collaborates well with her peers and brings care and insight to her writing, regularly using strong textual evidence and ensuring that all requirements are met before submitting any assignments. Beyond the classroom, you're involved in both the school plays and robotics, reflecting your wide-ranging interests and commitment to our school community, especially as a freshman. Your teachers shared that Jules is truly a pleasure to have in class and an excellent representative of a high school student. Congratulations.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Donovan, and please join me again in another round of applause for our two amazing high school students. Congratulations, Jules and Jeremy. Thank you. It's great things are happening at the high school, and it's awesome to hear of all the robotics and theater and music and diversity that's there. So this is fantastic. I invite you to stay for the rest of the board meeting. However, if I understand, you probably have other things to do. Brave the cold to get to another location, so feel free to leave. No requirement to stay, but you're more than welcome to. No problem. Thank you. Thank you. The second part of my report tonight, I am pleased to introduce members of Champions, our child care provider that provides before and after care. Tonight we have Thea Pace and Jess Hanat. I have me on the the board agenda, but we have Jess instead, so we're very excited. So I welcome them up to provide some updates to the board about a survey and just the goings on. So do you want to be at the podium or do you want a wireless to move around? Yep, so I'll grab you the mic and
We have,
oh, Angela, you're so good. Oh, I like it.
although I
Okay.
feel like I might not need it, but.
Okay, well, so we have the people at home sometimes, so we have people in the virtual world, so it's important to speak into the mic so that they can hear as well. But what I might do, I'm walking as if I'm. I might do that. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for having us today. Is that good?
Okay. You guys not looking at me, Al, not looking at me. This good? Can you see? Okay.
Yeah. Hi guys, thank you so much for having us tonight. Sorry, Nee couldn't be with us. She's actually very sick right now, but I'm happy to step in and be here with Thea and provide some updates about champions, answer some questions for you guys. So this is just a quick mid-year update for you. I am our area manager, Jess Hannett. I have been with us for about 2 years. I oversee 15 locations, so I oversee South Brunswick, Highland Park, and Keensburg. It's been so great being just involved in your community and getting to know you guys, the kids, and especially, everybody that's been part of this. We have about 20 members on our team right now. This is just some photos of our staff trainings along the way. Nee Dang does support, so she is boots on the ground for us. She oversees all 3 locations, supporting with the site director, supporting with the teachers, all the trainings, and the families directly as well. This is a glimpse of our weekly enrollment. So right now for middle school, we have not had any morning enrollments. When we first started, we saw 1, but they are in band right now. So we have not had any morning program. We've seen about 3 afternoon students for middle school. For Bartle, we've been seeing about 12 steady morning and 85 for the afternoon. And then for Irving, about 20 in mornings, and then aftercare is about that 85 number as well, 27 preschoolers and 55K in first grade. Total, we have 170 kids on average attending, and we have 289 enrolled with us. With that, we have been able to offer a ton of discounts to you guys. So we have 37 families currently enrolled in our subsidy program. The state also just opened up additional funding with that. So we have gotten that information out to our families to try and get some more people involved in that program. And we have 37 families on discounts. So that could be free and reduced lunch, multi-session discounts, scholarships, multi-child discount, all of that's calculated into that. This is some of our just day-to-day activities. So this is one of the units. This is a pop art unit. So this is some of the activities that they have been doing during the program. I believe this is on site at Irving, these ones. And then we have some photos from all 3 of our locations. So on the left, it's our gross and gooey unit. In the middle, same thing, that they were playing Operation there. And then on the right, we have the kids doing cooking club over at middle school. Just some more highlights. Sushi Friday, they had made in cooking club on middle school, and then some science club over at Bartle for Friday clubs. This is some of our pre-K kiddos in our community helpers unit. Some community collaboration. So we were able to provide breakfast for all 3 schools just for the partnership going into the holiday season. Also be able to celebrate National Custodian Day over at Irving, Mr. Francisco. The kids were able to make them cards and just present them to them. This was one of the big highlights during our holiday season. So our director over at Irving had partnered with Color a Smile. Color a Smile is a nonprofit organization that partners with local hospitals, senior citizen centers, troops overseas, and basically any coloring sheet that we donate, they ship to those locations.
It's for middle schoolers. They can earn hours that way, volunteer hours. So we were able to donate hundreds. We brought all the families in and did family events. The families were able to participate in it. These are some photos from the parties. We were able to ask some of our families for some testimonials. So Thea and I are going to read those now to you guys. Do you want to start?
Sure. Hello. So our first testimonial, these represent family testimonials. My daughter Melody Rose started the Champions in September 2025, and it has been such a wonderful first experience with an aftercare program. As a pre-K parent, I was initially nervous about how she would adjust to the longer day, but the Champions team made the transition seamless. Melody attends the program 5 days a week, and she absolutely loves it. She comes home excited to tell me about the activities, crafts, and games she's done each day. The staff is incredibly caring and attentive to her needs as a young learner, and I can see how much she's grown both socially and developmentally since starting the program. What I appreciate most is the warm, nurturing environment the team has created. They truly know each child individually and take the time to build meaningful connections. As a working parent, it gives me such peace of mind knowing Melody is in a safe, engaging, and loving environment after school. Champions has become an extension of our family, and we're so grateful to be part of this community. Jennifer Adams from Irving.
Champions is a wonderful program, and my daughter is always happy and excited at pickup. She loved all the fun games, projects, and snacks. The staff is always friendly at pickup and handling with children with patience and respect. Miss Omia has been exceptionally caring towards Raina, and it makes me feel at peace knowing she is in great hands after school ends. Thank you for all you do for our family. Miss Trevetti, Irving.
I'm writing to share my heartfelt testimony about the incredible impact the after-school program provides. By helping my child academically and socially while providing me with peace of mind that my son is safe and having fun. I highly recommend Champions after-school program. Elizabeth Holder from the middle school.
The Champion teams at Bartle does an exceptional job in communication. We are regularly provided updates via email and handouts. Staff members quickly reach out when necessary. At pickup time, the staff is responsive and make the process expedient. The program is a good mix, and in general, the planning and execution provides variety. Bartle Dad.
Bartle Champion staff have been extremely warm and welcoming to both parents and students, and it's clear they genuinely enjoy spending time with kids. The program offers engaging creative projects. Nee Dang has been especially receptive to parent feedback and communicates thoughtfully and responsively, which makes families feel heard and supported. A Bartle mom.
My daughter absolutely loves being part of the Champions program. Every day she comes home excited to tell me about the different activities she participated in, from creative projects to group games and hands-on learning. There's always something new and engaging, which keeps her interested and motivated. What I appreciate most is how Champions offers such a variety of activities that support learning, creativity, and social development, all while still being fun. My daughter feels included, supported, and confident in this environment, and it's clear she truly enjoys being there. Seeing how happy she is and how much she looks forward to attending means everything to us as parents. Champions has become a place where she feels safe, encouraged, and excited to grow, and we are so grateful for the positive impact it had on her. Nancy Guy, Irving. So as much as we love hearing from our parents, we also wanted to talk to our kids and see what they love about the families. So we did talk to some of the kids along the way and got some testimonials from them as well. So I like Champions because it is safe a lot. My teachers are kind and there's a lot of fun stuff and games. Fifth grader Bartle.
Champions is awesome. I made so many new friends and the teachers are really nice. I like snack time and story time the best. Kindergartner from Irving.
I like the different categories and stations. There's so many things to do. Third grader Bartle.
Champions is fun because we play games together and the teachers play with us too. I don't want to miss any days. First grader at Irving.
We have snack, we go outside, and my aftercare teachers are fun. Second grader Bartle.
I like how Friday we get to pull tickets and everyone has a chance to get something from the prize box. Second grader Bartle.
I like being able to have time to play in the Dragon's Nest game we created in the gym. Second grader Bartle.
I love Champions because we get to play fun games and do art projects. My favorite is when we go outside to the playground. Pre-K child at Irving.
We do more stuff in Champions than we did in our last after school program. I like the games we played. Second grader Bartle.
What I love most about Champions is that we do cool activities every day. I learned how to make friendship bracelets and we did science experiments. First grader at Irving.
I like Champions because we get to do a lot of different and fun activities, and I get to spend time with my friends from class. Fourth grader, Bard.
I love coming to Champions because we dance, play outside, and do crafts. It's like having extra playtime with my friends. Kindergartner at Irving.
So in October, we provided all families, the clients, and our staff a survey about their experience with Champion so far. So we know that this happened very quickly into being into the community, but these are the results that we have gotten so far. And I know that those were given to you guys tonight. So if you guys wanted to talk through any questions that you guys have and just where we're sitting today. So the scale, just so you guys know, 3 would be a neutral, 4 would be agree, and 5 would be a strongly agree. So middle school, we sat at families at 4.67 and the principal at a 2. Bartle family at a 3.86, principal 4, Irving family of 4.10, and principal of 5.
Hello? Okay. So, I just don't understand quite what that means.
We call the survey the client results, but it's the principal that responds to the survey. So the principal for each of the schools responded to the survey, and these were the scores that we obtained.
From the principal, just one person filled out the survey, the principal?
Yeah.
Do families also get the survey or?
Yeah, so this
Result, and these are there's a little slash here.
I,
And then in the packet, it's separated for you where one is the family results and they're asked different questions, of course.
okay.
So you
Thanks.
can take a look at, if you have any questions about it, we're happy to support.
and it says in there for each of the family ones, how many families took it for each school. So I believe middle school, all 5 families took it. I believe 61 at Irving and then 50 over at Bartle. Across all 3 sites, we scored highest in environment with an average of 4.54 out of 5. This category includes the following. My center provides a safe and secure environment for my child. My center is consistently very clean. My center has a very friendly, positive environment. Our area for growth is communication with an average score of 3.9 out of 5. This includes my child's teacher shares frequent updates about my child. My center director has taken the time to ask how I feel about my child's care provider. So since we have gotten these results in, we have committed just to some communication changes. Typically, we send out monthly newsletters to families that will be going to bi-weekly. And we have asked the staff to start sending a weekly text message or an in-person communication for each child, just so that they get something that they've seen and done throughout the week.
So basically we're gathering the results so that we could come together as a team and see where there's opportunities for us to improve based on family and client feedback.
Do you guys have any questions based on the survey of anything that you guys wanted to go over with us? I know there's a ton of information in those packets.
Yeah, I have a question. I mean, so it looks here that some of the lowest scores that were gotten from families are at Bartle, specifically around staff resolving issues that parents and families are having. What steps are you taking to deal with that issue?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think also at the time at the survey, we did bring a new director into role. So I think since that change, there has been very consistent communication at that point. But really just making sure that that's happening in the moment, not waiting until a pickup conversation, that those phone calls are happening right then and there, and followed up with Nee along the way so that she can ensure that that happens in a timely manner.
The other issue I wanted to raise is around education. It seems like from the environment scores, people think it's a safe, kind of rich environment, but not necessarily for learning. So they might be having fun or something. So I'm trying to understand a little bit lower scores on education. They're lowest in Bartle, but they're a little bit low in Irving. everything looks great in terms of the 5 families in the middle school.
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel that we opened up and families are still joining us, and then we're surveying them right away when we just are getting kind of our sea legs and understand, in the beginning, it's more of a getting to know you unit and learning about the kids, learning a little bit about the parents. And that's why we asked Nee to gather the testimonials now. And they do depict, the families are responding to the fact that their children are saying, hey, there's so many great activities. We did science experiments, and we wanted to capture that for you here too in photos tonight. But we absolutely understand that. And sometimes when we first open up, it takes a little bit of time for us to really delve into the curriculum in a meaningful way. And we feel like we're on a great path now. And again, these survey results were still really meaningful for us because we took it in and said, hey, what are the items here where we can really build and improve? So I hope that helps.
Yeah, and I just noticed I kind of missed the dates when it was given. So it was really given like over 2 months ago. So this really was like the first 2 months of the
Yes.
program, really pretty early on as you were implementing things. So are you gonna do this survey again to kind of see
Yeah.
kind of where we're at,
It's an annual survey. We're part of KinderCare Education. So we're a big corporation and the dates are always set for engagement. So regardless of if you just opened, Gallup sends the survey at the period of time for all of our employees, all of our clients, and all of our families. So the survey will be issued again next year at the same time period. So we're really excited. That's why there's a column there to view your results from last year so that you can see your growth. And we'll be very interested and anxious to see our growth year over year in the next survey.
Aside from aside from working on improving communications at Bartle, what else have you sort of adjusted in the first few months of the program there? I have 2 kids at champions at Bartle.
Yeah, I think just a lot with just the daily schedule in general, just trying to figure out like the best routine for them. That is a great location because they do have a ton of licensed spaces. So really just making a schedule that makes sense for all of them, not keeping, it's a big group, almost 90 kids. So to keep that many kids together just wouldn't make sense logistically. So I think the biggest thing we dived into was the schedule piece of it and making sure that each group had the right programming in place.
Transitions from group, yeah.
And then I had a question. So I noticed that there's a big difference from the middle school families and the principal. And I'm just wondering what is causing that big gap and if there's any, like how we're working to resolve that issue.
Yeah, so I think honestly, really just trying to introduce the program to middle school in general. I think from the get-go, it was like, is there a need for this here? And that's really like the initial contact that we had. So for us, it was trying to build things that made sense for the middle schoolers, putting them into clubs, doing different activities that would make sense for those kids. So we're really just trying to establish a partnership that makes sense, that it doesn't overstep in the clubs that you guys offer as a school community, but also gives the families a different offering. We are partnering closely with Mrs. Brady to make sure that that relationship continues and we continue to grow. I know that Nee has something set up over the next couple of weeks, just kind of go through the questions and really dive deeper into where these results really came from and how we can continue to amend that.
Is there any progress towards being able to release one of the champions kids to a sibling that is not over the age of 18?
At this point, no, but I will definitely bring it back.
What's the main obstacle to that?
That is
Licensing, yeah. New Jersey state licensing. So we would have to connect with our licensing team and licensing advisor. And sometimes there are things we can put into place, but we just have to make sure that licensing is aware of it.
Do you guys have a time frame that you think you might be able to remedy that? Or?
I'd be happy to bring it to I work really closely with our licensing team. I can bring that to them tomorrow.
That'd be great.
What age is the pickup?
Bartle.
Bartle.
I have a 5th grader and a 3rd grader, and it'd be great if the 3rd grader could go home with the 5th grader after the 5th grader finishes band, for example.
Okay. And are they walkers? Is that?
They would be walkers, yeah.
Okay.
I'd just like to follow up on that comment as well, because this is a walking community, which is probably different than some of the other areas in which you operate. And so, kids can walk home by themselves with their parents' permission starting in second grade. In this community, it's a safe, walkable space. And so I understand that there are, corporate constraints. However, being that you would like to be a partner in this community, I think it is something that's important to the families and communities here, especially, having other kids, other siblings be able to pick their kids up or things like that, as you have families that are working, for example.
Yeah, it's the Department of Human Services. That's who we for the New Jersey State Department of Human Services. That's where we obtain our childcare license. So we'll take it back to them, because if their parents are offering their permission during the school day for walkers, we can see what their response is for the after school program.
So much. I had a similar concern, so I just want to echo that. I know this concern was presented earlier in the year as well, so we're hopeful to get some resolution on that as soon as possible. I have two things. We live in the community, so we hear, grumblings, so to speak, that may not make their way to you, but make their way to us more informally. We've been encouraging parents that, do voice their complaints to us to email you and to seek resolution. But one of the things that I wanted to address tonight is issues about pickup. And some of the things that we've been hearing is that IDs are not checked at pickup. Right. And so obviously, if we're not checking IDs at pickup, then why can't our kids go home? Because that's one of the reasons, right? What is the actual policy for dismissal, and how can we ensure that that's implemented consistently?
Yeah, so I can share. I've been at all 3 locations during dismissal, and we do have an emergency contact binder at every single location. So typically at the beginning of the school year, once we know who the parent is or sponsor, whoever the emergency contact is that's picking up, once we do ID you, those first handful of times and we feel comfortable putting a name to a face, then we won't continue that process, more just to keep it like in a familiar manner. Hey, Thea, Billy had a great day today, and we will let you go. I know that's different than last year. Even speaking with you guys about following the public school rules last year, you guys did have to ID at every single time. So I'm sure that feels very different for the families, but we do initially ID. We will make sure that we know them before we do release to them. So.
Sorry, my second question was around the lower score in terms of problem resolution. I know that the next survey comes out, next year, but that's a big thing for us to make sure that our families, because we're not running the program anymore, but making sure that that their problems are handled appropriately and that they feel at peace. And how are you guys assessing improvement in that, perhaps internally, throughout the next few months?
Something we've even talked about, and I've talked about this in some of my other locations, is although we can't do like a formal survey, is maybe even just sending like a Survey Monkey out to the families like towards the end of the school year to see how they feel like our progress has been. And just honestly, just through conversations with families, I think that that's the easiest way to get feedback, is really just being there, hearing it, watching it, and talking to the families.
And the question about problems and challenges does include something with the bill or invoice. And sometimes we have to have a dialogue with families regarding that. It's not, it could pertain to something with the child, but sometimes it is a financial scenario. I was really happy to see in the testimonials that that our role really as a team is we want to be responsive. So there's going to be incidents, there's going to be people who are going to bring concerns to us. How do we respond to it? How do we hold ourselves accountable, and how do we communicate with that family, and what are the action steps we're taking, and what is the follow-up with that family? So those are all the steps that are very important to our team. And I was very happy Dee was called out for her responsiveness. Sure.
I would say thank you guys for being here. It's important to me, and I think to a lot of us, that we have the opportunity to hear from you guys directly and ask questions and bring up any issues if there were issues. I like the response rate to the survey. It seems like the 85 students at Bartle and Irving, seems like you got over 50% of people to reply. It's pretty good for a survey. It'd be great if there could be something kind of more informal, not informal like a formal survey, but doesn't have to be this company-wide thing. But end of the year is a good time to take stock of how things went, and you could use a lot of the same questions. Probably get a pretty good response, but yeah, I think good work so far. Growing pains, obviously, but I think
Yeah.
good.
That's great feedback. We can even do a smart sheet form, send a link to families, they can complete that and we can compile the results. I also like when families have the opportunity to write something
Yeah.
so that we can really get some details as to, why they chose the score that they did. So.
I'm not the tech savvy one, but Nee will put together a survey monkey for.
Oh, yeah, no, I can do, our team can do that for you.
Yeah.
We could do that for you.
A bad idea to informally survey the kids that are participating in the program too for things that are.
Oh, absolutely.
My kids complain about. I guess there's groups that they're assigned to that are fairly rigid, so sometimes they don't get to play with some of their friends because I guess it's different class setups. If there could be some more flexibility in that, or flexibility in opting out of some of the activities, I think those are simple things that might lead to more enjoyment from the kids.
Absolutely.
And a lot of that most likely is due to just like our licensing ratios and making sure we're in that. But that's obviously something that at a site level, they can day to day shift people around if needed.
You have some. Any other questions for the survey?
Any other questions? Is that the end of the
Just
presentation? Oh, sorry. There's, all right. Oh, Marilyn has a question. So we have from a board member that's online. Marilyn?
Hi there. Just to follow up on the suggestions for a follow-up survey. I think the end of the year might be a little not the ideal time. If you would consider doing a follow-up survey, even something obviously less formal, March, April, so we get more, the board and the champions gets more feedback before the end of the school year. I think it would be helpful for us as a board to hear how things are going, again, March, April, rather than June.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And maybe we can try and even just wrap it like by the end of spring break so families have that time to do it while they're off.
That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good idea.
All right, so then these are just some of our future goals. So we are going digital as of next week. So we are switching our scheduling and billing system to, it's called Discover Champions. It will be a one-stop shop for families where they can set up all of their payments, their schedules. They will also be able to get updates that way. This will be how we sign everybody in and out rather than going through a binder every day. So that is launching company-wide as of Monday. And then some of our goals just in here specifically is to offer a spring break camp. We were all able to offer winter break for the first time and we had a nice turnout. The kids had a great time. So offering a spring break camp, potentially opening a summer program as well. And then just the ongoing partnership with you guys and all these families.
Yeah, we did take a look and Dr. Sesko may remember on our first call, we always take a look at your strategic priorities and goals. So we were happy to tie that into our community service or, our goal is really that the kids really feel part of something greater than themselves and are, in a harmonious group. And I was happy to see a family call out that we do care about the individual interests of each child. These are all things like I was just going through your priorities today, and I just want to make sure that that's our role too, is really how can we best support you and how can you, if you've identified any gaps school to school, what can we do to enhance our programming to help you fill those gaps? So.
Thank you for your time. And then my contact information is here, Nee's contact information. If you guys have any follow-up questions, you're always welcome to reach out and talk about anything. But thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And of course, you're both more than welcome to stay for the duration of the meeting, but I understand you've had long days, so feel free to go. I always give people that so they don't feel awkward about leaving. I should require people to stay.
Yeah.
Maybe that would give us more of an audience than instead of talking to empty chairs. I was thinking, do you remember COVID when as you were packing, they had people fill stadiums with like pictures? I feel like I want to put people's pictures on in these chairs or something just to, we talk, but I know Marilyn and Sarah are at least hearing us at home. So that's good. All right. Thank you. Thank you both. Well, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Now we're going to move on to our first public comment portion of the evening. The Highland Park Board of Education welcomes public participation and is reserved this time for your comments. Do we have anyone online? Okay, does anyone have a question? Oh, okay, well then we will move on to board committee reports and recommendations. Let's start with curriculum and instruction.
Curriculum instruction met on the 15th. We talked about the digital policy, but really about Chromebooks and the filtering system, so students can't access inappropriate sites and whatnot. The big issue, it appears, is students learning to bypass district systems, and the filter having to catch up to that. IT kind of continually monitors this, but we actually use a piece of software called LineWise that determines if a site is safe automatically. So it has built-in kind of categorizations to determine inappropriate sites. It has if a website isn't in the database, then it uses kind of an analysis tool to assign it a category. And then the categories are updated, are synced across districts. And so there's some machine learning that detects kind of these patterns with websites and access kind of across schools to determine whether or not websites are appropriate for kids. In general, LineWise errs on the side of blocking websites to the point that once or twice a day, our IT has to unblock content for instructional purposes when teachers kind of reach out to them. So, that's something to sort of balance as students are using school technology. If folks are wondering why not block YouTube and whatnot, Google actually restricts access to inappropriate videos through YouTube, and it has really strict regulations. So that's not something to necessarily block. There can be instructional videos too, and so if you block all that, then teachers lose access to some of those instructional videos on YouTube. The other issue is that there are proxies to a website, and these get kind of built as a go-around for filters. And so it's a constant battle to rule out websites as these alternative sites kind of pop up to give people access. And so IT is kind of constantly kind of monitoring this, and LineWise is constantly monitoring this. But if parents have issues with websites that their students are getting access to, they should tell the teacher, and the teacher can actually submit a ticket to IT. And so this was something that we talked about pretty extensively. As students are bringing Chromebooks home and accessing different things, we can kind of monitor this as a community. And so if you do know your child has accessed something, report into the teacher so the IT can kind of monitor and make sure LineWise is catching it or they're adding it to the website list. Because it is a constant issue as websites kind of shift, or these proxy websites kind of are constantly kind of building as a workaround for students around these filters. We also talked about the Comegno Institute program evaluation. Nikki discussed this in our December meeting, so I'll just add a couple things to what was already said. Focus groups are coming. Comegno is doing them in kind of phase 2, which allows the evaluation to build and follow up on the document and survey analysis, so they can follow up with parents, the CSTs, other staff, to understand some of the things they maybe are seeing, but I also think the focus groups are going to focus much more on instruction than just kind of procedures. So I think that's also a different focus, but I think doing that prior analysis kind of informs those focus groups. So that's one thing we talked about. And with respect to the survey, a couple questions were raised in the public about the survey. The district is implementing a new survey tool that translates the survey based on parent, guardian, language preferences, but this was not in place for the Comegno survey. So we believe that parents only had access to it in English. So that is unfortunate, but there is a tool that we're piloting right now to to give parents more access. And the last thing we talked about were field trips. Just a few highlights. Kindergartners are going to see a play at the State Theater. Bartle is going to the New Jersey State Museum. Global citizenship students this is something I talked about in our last meeting, where we've had social studies teachers in training come to meet with the Global Citizen Program with Dr. Adam Gold. And Dr. Andy DeCalvo at Rutgers has been doing this to train his social studies students, but with the feedback of students. And so now the students are actually going to go to Rutgers this semester, which I think is really exciting to have students participate in the training of future teachers. And high school Spanish is going to New York to see a play at the Repertorio Español. And that is that. In terms of issues we're voting on those field trips, some of which I highlighted. We have approval of one HIB report that was confirmed. We have approval of a job description for a general maintenance worker. Approval of home instruction for 6 students. Approval of clinical affiliation agreement with Rutgers Biomedical and Health Sciences. Approval of number of MOUs, one with HPEA for temporary differential for an employee. Approval MOU with the Center for Supportive Schools for Teen PEP. Another one with Montclair State University, an MOU with Model UN Club and Citizens for Global Solutions, and then approval of a number of students for internships across a number of different classrooms. And then rescinding a couple of placements in the teen center for 2 students. Approval of Peaks and Valleys program at Bartle. And lastly, the approval of the district calendar. Any questions?
I don't have a question, but I did want to comment that I think the technology conversation is something that we're going to be having for a long time as we continue to unpack this. So, I'm looking forward to that because, I agree the issues that we're experiencing with technology, I don't think are things that we envisioned occurring back when everybody was like, yes, everybody gets a laptop so they can log in online, right? So I am looking forward to unpacking that with this group. And I also wanted to just say I'm really excited about the Team PEP, contract, because I know that was something last year that we were discussing was going to be hard to keep. And so I'm really excited that we have a way to keep it because I think it's very valuable. And even if, we can't get more students in it, it's going to be really valuable for even the 3, 4, 7 students that join, and quite a leadership experience for them, and a benefit to the school community as a whole. So I just wanted to comment that I'm really excited about that.
I had a question about the focus groups for Kamigo. Do we know how the parents are being selected for focus groups?
Do you want to do that in CPET, like as part of the report for, okay. So Amy had a very long conversation with John and his group today, about an hour. So they're going to be putting out a flyer to get interest. My understanding is they're going to start February 4th on the focus groups. They are going to run 4 different sessions at night on Zoom, and they're going to use Zoom. Zoom can translate over 30+ languages in real time. So when you're listening, they'll speak English, but it can come back and the parents can select any language. So instructions will go home on how to do that in Zoom. They can give their feedback and input in a focus group in their own language, and it translates in English. So we're going to use Zoom for that. So over 30+ languages. There's going to be one session that will be for parents and guardians of special ed students in pre-K through 5. Another focus group for special ed parents and guardians and students grades 6 through 12. Then another session for gen ed parents, and then another session for staff. So those are going to be, the staff ones will probably be during the day, just because we can't require staff to attend things after hours. So we're trying to navigate the staff one to figure out a best time to implement the focus groups for that. But the ones for parents and guardians will be after hours in the evening on Zoom with John and his group. So that will be done and concluded by mid-March. And then March 12th, they're going to do a professional development for the child study team. And right now they're looking at more dates for the spring to do some more training with the staff around that. They're going to start advertising their focus group dates this Thursday night at the CPAG meeting. So if you're interested in coming to that event on Thursday night, we're here at the middle school cafeteria. We're having somebody from the Bridge program come in to sort of kick us off to some new leadership there, but that's when we will start advertising. So you'll see those flyers come out. So once it's produced, it was supposed to be end of day today, but I have not checked my email. So maybe tomorrow morning we should have those flyers. They'll be put out in multiple languages, and I will put those dates out as well as part of my weekly communication. They'll go out on social media and many platforms. So the dates and times for those with links will be provided hopefully by week's end to families to start marking the dates on their calendar, be part of the focus groups. That is the update from Camango. So the ball is rolling. So in the spring we will have a lot more going on. Late winter, early spring.
I have a comment. Pick up on what Allison was saying. I did write a little bit out, but I promise just a couple of minutes. So I really appreciate your detailed notes. I'm sorry I wasn't at the CNI meeting. It was a tricky week for the family. And I also really appreciate Dr. Suska that the IT came to us and talked about it. It was really great. They were able to take that time and that you made them available. So as everyone I think probably knows, Chromebooks are a concern of mine. There are a lot of reasons why. But tonight I don't want to talk about content that is not educational. What I want to talk about is content that is recreational, which the Chromebooks unfortunately do a very good job of delivering to our students. So what I understand from IT, thanks to Dan's notes, that district has up-to-date systems for blocking content on the web that is clearly inappropriate or harmful. That's great. I have to say, I have observed our Chromebooks being used. Not at all convinced that quite a lot of inappropriate, even disturbing content gets through these screens. I've seen videos of violent first-person shooter video games, animated violence that gets very bloody and gory, and cartoon slaughterhouses that depict violence against animals as a joke. I think we have to take the failings of our current screening technology very seriously. Kids' mental health is at stake, and perhaps more than that. But let's imagine for a second that the filters we have on the Chromebooks, on the Chromebook browsing, perfectly block content that is clearly inappropriate or harmful. Would this be enough? No, I don't think it would be, because there's a whole universe of content out there that is not dangerous, it's not disturbing, it's merely distracting. We all know it. It's the endless scroll of influencers, product placement, dumb tricks, video game playthroughs, reality television, bathroom humor, and all the rest. For want of a better word, brain rot. And from what I read in these notes, there are few, if any, protections in these district-issued devices to protect kids from brain rot. And that's a huge problem. So I passed out an article tonight to everyone here. It's a policy statement just issued by the American Academy of Pediatrics on what they call digital ecosystems. A really important term used in this article is something I hadn't heard before, which is called engagement-based design. And I want to read the definition of that in full. It's short. Digital designs, engagement-based design is digital designs which compete for users' attention, interaction, and data, often incentivized by revenue structures. Symptoms might include pervasive, profit-driven, or manipulative design. In other words, this is brain rot. Low-quality, fast-paced content whose purpose is not to educate, and not even really to entertain. Its purpose is simply to push the pleasure buttons in your brain hard enough that you keep watching more. As currently kitted out, district-issued devices are potentially a potent source of brain rot. They are intended to be used for homework, as textbooks, for scheduling, posting grades, communicating with teachers and friends. But how many of us fully developed adults use our phones and computers purely for work and calling friends? For us, with our devices, it's the constant battle to avoid distractions that are just a click away. How much more this must be the case for young kids, kids in Bartle, walking home with their first laptops, and the middle school as well as older ones, whose brains have a long way to go before they attain the heights of self-control that us adults always demonstrate around our devices. I fully understand why the district has adopted laptops. They're convenient and hold incredible promise for making educational material accessible, flexible, and effective. But we can't ignore the downsides anymore if we ever could. By mandating that students use these devices, which have to be taken home every night to charge, not to mention do homework, we are making it much harder for parents to establish a brain rot-free digital ecosystem for their kids. And this is the very problem called out by the Pediatrics Association in a new policy brief. Now, we cannot expect parents to stand watch over their kids to make sure they're doing their homework and not surfing the web for clickbait. I understand why that appears like an attractive solution, but it is completely impractical, not based in the real world. When kids have 20 minutes, half an hour of homework to hover over them, I have news for you, it does not work. We have to find a solution that empowers parents to make good choices about the digital environment in their home. Right now, we're taking the choice out of parents' hands, and that's not right. So to close, as immediate action steps, I would suggest the following. First, we need high quality data on what kids are doing on the internet with the Chromebooks. Of course, keeping everything anonymous, but we need to know how much time they are spending on brain rot using district devices. Second, we need to investigate practical, effective alternatives to the current whack-a-mole system of attempting to block dangerous websites. At an absolute minimum, as long as we have the Chromebooks, districts should choose what sites to let in, not which sites, not try to figure out which sites to keep out. The Smithsonian, PBS, Khan Academy, validated learning sites. We should consider letting platforms like these in. But if a site isn't on a very short list of things that contribute directly to a student's education, it should be blocked on a district-issued device, period. And last, we need to update our digital district policy to reflect a strategy to free our kids from brain rot that might be accessed and is being accessed outside of school, in the home, on district devices. Thank you.
That concludes my report. And Ethan's report.
I mean, I'm on board with what Ethan's saying. I've been saying it for a very long time, and it's not only a distraction at home, it's also a distraction in the classroom. And there have been multiple times where teachers have to go to a student and, hey, get off that website or stop playing that game so they can actually pay attention to the class. So I am Team Ethan on this one.
I agree on everything Dr. Schoolman said. Like, obviously, the Chromebooks provide a lot of merit for teaching students like media literacy and just literacy with technology early on. But even my AP classrooms, kids just being on games like on their Chromebooks is a huge distraction. And the teachers constantly have to basically just police them through, I believe it's called class-wise, to just make sure that they're actually paying attention and not playing like a racing game or something like that.
Sarah from the sky. Hi, guys. Yeah, I would say the emphasis, just thinking about, how we leverage them as a pedagogical extension is just a nice, and sometimes it's going to be watching maybe an engaging video. And I think that is kind of hard to monitor. And we really don't want to disempower teachers, I think, to incorporate things intelligently into, their programming. And so I would implore us all, while, it should be an intentional extension of how we learn. There is a balance, and this is a national debate. So, it's good we're having it. Honestly, it's great we're having it. And, I think really focusing on intentionality and not time on task, but what's actually being done, and the kind of engaging conversations that this tool, which is just a tool, inspires. And that's my 2 cents.
Anyone else? Okay, and to echo what Allison said, I do think that this is going to be a long-term discussion. that we'll keep coming back to. So, thank you everyone for raising it. And, the discussions about this will continue, especially as more research does come out. I would just say, I do think that during COVID, a lot of instruction moved onto Chromebooks, and never came off. And I think that's something that we do need to look at. I still don't understand how you learn math on a computer, but that's so, as these discussions continue, I think details will vary, but in general, I think we're all in agreement of needing to look at new evidence as it comes in and, really think about the intentionality and reevaluate what the district's relationship is with technology. So.
Yeah, and I think it'd be really interesting to hear from teachers on this. How would they, if they had their kind of choice, what would the limits on a Chromebooks be? Would it be only certain approved websites, and they apply to get certain things approved instructionally, and then they have access to that. But I'd be really curious to see what they would say.
I agree with that.
Yeah, one more thing too is that just the reality we're living in is like the performance distribution is much more bimodal too. And so in the classroom, the job of really aligning personalized instruction to a student is harder. And so I totally underscore what you're saying there about just really understanding how we can align with the world we're in today and root cause like the problem that we're in, which is different than 4 years ago.
And I would also just like to specify that the NJSLA tests are all online. So all of that. And so just getting rid of them is not really an option. And part of the reason, instruction is improved, but also part of the reason that we've seen some growth in our test scores has been that the kids are getting taught how to do it on the Chromebooks, where it's not the first time they're seeing one when the tests come along, right? And so this is also an issue that we do need to weigh because the tests are online. So
I think, there's there's sort of a few different areas in which computer laptops are used. One, and the different conversations to be had about that. So like one conversation to be had is to what extent should education be moving on to Chromebooks? And that's an interesting conversation and research is back and forth. And I think Sarah points out that it can have a lot of benefits. We should be, cautious about it, but excited too. And maybe I'm not as excited as some people, but I can see the logic behind it. I think the easier, the sort of less controversial conversation to have is, should students be going home with these and just surfing the net for brain rot, right? And the answer is no. Obviously, it's no. And so I think we can immediately start to address that problem. I understand it's a long-term conversation. We can immediately start to think about how to address it by thinking about alternative ways to set up these Chromebooks. Maybe not on the operating systems we have. Maybe we got to switch that out, whatever. But we should start the process of figuring this out. So I wonder what that should look like. Could we ask a subcommittee or a committee here or district staff to start looking into other software or other levels of the ones we have that provide stricter controls, maybe sort of time of day based would be something. Do we have initial ideas of what those action steps could look like, or do we have to sort of take that under committee and keep talking about it?
Wait, hello? Okay. I think the other thing we need to consider is age appropriateness as well. So high school, yes, it makes sense. They can have their Chromebooks. They're going to have a lot of work to do on that. It can be very beneficial. They've developed a little bit more of their, prefrontal cortex to be able to, control certain things versus the second grader who's bringing their Chromebook home, who doesn't have homework on it and is sitting there with the brain watching the games and doesn't really, it's more of a recreational thing than it is an actual tool for education at that point. So I think those are things that we definitely need to consider. And middle school probably use it more as well. But those are things that we definitely need to consider when it comes to the Chromebooks. I'm not anti-Chromebook, just.
Well, I'll jump in here too. In terms of sort of maybe lower hanging fruit than when you're talking about in terms of the filtering software or anything, is whether we even assign homework on the Chromebook, right? I have a fifth grader who goes home and he'll have homework that he has to do on the Chromebook, and he opens up his Chromebook and there's 32 tabs open, dating back years. One of those will be the homework, and then the other 33 or the other 31, I didn't learn math, will not be. There'll be beatboxing software. There'll be also, there's a lot of distraction, and a lot of the homework will be stuff that could, there's just writing assignments or math assignments, all things that could be a worksheet, right? So it could be a simple matter of really reassessing what is the proper media for assigning homework given what you're trying to teach. And then there's obviously, they're going to have to learn how to use the computer. They're going to have work on the computer for the rest of their lives, but particularly considering when do you start that at what age, given that you're a fifth grader is, I think, assumed that they're going to try to do their homework unassisted, right? But at that point, you know, the manner in which you assign that could influence how that looks.
I think that makes a lot of sense doing it on paper since they're going to have to learn cursive starting September. And give them a lot of practice with that.
Need some practice on the handwriting, at least my kids do.
I think as speaking here from the virtual world, I think as a board, our role is policy. So if we want to talk about this further, I think, and we should, it sounds like definitely everybody wants to, I think it's from a policy perspective, because I think that's our role as board members. And so maybe we propose that we look at our current policy, which I think Ethan had suggested, send it to committee to begin to see what that says and how we feel differently about what it does say.
But I'm also wondering if this needs to be a topic for like central leadership team, that kind of thing. And some of that conversation could inform the policy group too.
Agreed. Yeah, that way we get teacher input and administrator input from the district.
Right. I want to make sure that whatever we do is in collaboration with everyone, not top down.
Yeah. Okay, so Nikki, equity and excellence.
Okay, so Equity and Excellence met January 15th, and it was myself, Monique, and Anne, and obviously Dr. Chiska. We discussed feedback about our platform. Wait, what is it? The new feedback platform pilot. It's a survey. The surveys and feedback that have been going out haven't always had all of the languages that we need for our community. So we are testing other formats that could translate the questions as well as the responses, whereas before we're getting the question in that language, but the responses were not in the language. And that would help us with our communication. So we are looking for other platforms out there they fit our criteria, but also are cost effective. And that they are accessible to parents who might not be able to, who are, blind or deaf or, they need to be more ADA compliant. Let's see. And then the other thing we discussed was the AP honors data. Overall, the data shows that the majority of students in AP honors continue to be Asian and white, which has been the case with past data collection. However, the numbers can be skewed because Genesis double counts students who are represented in multiple categories. For example, like white student count includes students who identify as Hispanic and students who identify as non-Hispanic. To address the skew, people would have to do this manually, and it would be a human resource challenge. but the percentages are still reliable. And it's important to keep in mind that the actual number of students is very low in some demographic categories, such as Native American, Indigenous. Students with disabilities continue to be underrepresented. The skills knowledge gap that accumulates over the years is likely the largest contributing factor to the large gaps in AP honors enrollment. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on. Dr. Yusuf discussed the promising work being done around improving inclusion practices, including co-teaching and the parallel teaching model through small group instruction, regular checks for understanding, and easy to diagnose the students' needs. The administration is currently doing a deep dive into professional development with special education and gen ed teachers. The rest of the year is dedicated to the middle and high school teachers in this regard. The other limitations of the data due to Genesis format that have also been recognized in the past are the AP honors students are combined because they are both flagged as gifted and talented at Genesis. Personnel enrollment in these classes would also require additional manual labor. And the data does not reflect intersections between race and economic status. Students in the free and reduced lunch category are not broken out by race as well. The next thing we discussed was the middle school funded programs. Let's see, Caitlin and Michelle reported that they have historically had low attendance for their Title I funded after school programs, while some students had conflict with sports, many do not. Many of the students who are invited are the ones whose parents the team cannot reach. This year, they sent emails, mailed letters, and called on the phone. They got a few more participants, but not the numbers that they were hoping for. And the data that was used to invite the students to the WISE connection was attendance, tardies, and scores in math and ELA. And then also we also discussed the Comeno program evaluation. And I'm probably just going to be reiterating everything that Dan said. Let's see. Sorry, give me 1 minute. These are not my notes, so. Okay, the team conducted analysis of all the documents and preliminary studies they administered to staff and parents. The survey didn't yield much interaction. Administration is working on ways to generate more feedback and input. 20-page status report and recommendations were provided. Starting in January, the consultants will be meeting with the child study team, teachers, and parents to conduct focus groups and interviews. Some of the recommendations in the report already being turnkeyed, for example, to provide more consistency in using a template for the present levels and IEPs. Data in the reporting supported our gut that there are things our team is doing that are wonderful and areas of growth lie in inconsistencies across the district. The consultants also shared that they would be willing to support the CPAC parents during the transition in leadership. The next status report will be available after the focus group meetings and interviews are conducted and analyzed. The committee question for follow-up is how are parents being identified in the focus groups, which I think we discussed that with Dan. And then we have our discipline reports. Bartle had 13 total incidents, a few incidents resulting to rise and 1 OSS. Middle school had 29 total incidents, 23 students involved, 1 rise, 1 OSS, and high school, 64 total incidents, 1 rise. And the low number of removals, rise in OSS, is positive and encouraging. The uptick in total incidents may be partly attributed to the lead up to the holiday break and a related excitement and higher energy levels in the buildings. The emphasis on tier 1 and tier 2 supports and education around vaping to commit incidents and lessen student removal from the instructional space. And then one of the things we did have to table because we ran out of time was the Bartle start times. And I'm going to send you some questions in regards to that so we can have a discussion topic on it. That is my report.
I believe there was one other thing that wasn't in the notes, but I don't think it was just something that was discussed briefly because we're going to be discussing it more, but it was again with the cell phone ban that there had been so many fewer passes requested in the middle school, for example, like thousands less. Yeah. when it was 700 in the first 2 weeks or something, like it's, yeah.
800 less.
Yeah, and now it's thousands. So, I mean, I'm really looking forward to, seeing the data compiled about any impact that the cell phone bans have had. Especially as we're going to need to update our policy to conform with state law. So. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? Okay, Allison, Facilities and Finance.
All right, it's my first one. So Marilyn, you're gonna have to give me a score when we're done. All right, so for finance and facilities, we met on January 13th. And some of the action items we discussed were, of course, the transfer and treasurer reports, the secretary reports. Those will be on the agenda tonight. You'll also see on the agenda the approval of a submission for a local recreation grant, which would include volleyball sleeves at the high school, football stadium sound system improvements, Bartle gym floors, and that's going to be a state grant that had been for municipalities originally, but has been open to school districts. And so the grant prioritizes spaces that are shared with the community so that it is like a joint venture. And you'll also see a job description for our general maintenance worker as Willie Roman retired. This position has been hard to fill with only one applicant as of our meeting. You're also considering a contract with a third-party recruiting agency in order to find a temporary hire that may, that we can then perhaps hire full-time. So that's also in the works. We will be looking for an approval of an additional charge for the Bartle structural repairs. For additional repairs to 2 columns, replacement stairs for the boiler room, and replacements of the mechanical room door, and the addition of the door to the business office. Those additions were because the columns and stairs needed to be demolished in order to do some of the work. And again, we're going to also do the mechanical doors. And we are able to do this and remain within our original budget. And then for policy, we did just review again the LICE policy. No public concerns about the policy has been shared, mostly positive feedback and conversations that we've had with parents, and the nurses are very excited. So that will move forward for second read. Some informational items. We did discuss kind of what is the board's role in aftercare. Because we received an email that was asking us to act, and we were like, well, how can we really act when we're not running the program? So we did consult with 2 other school districts, and as we had suspected, our role is to approve the provider or to decide to go out for an RFP as appropriate. Christina did provide a summary of some recent complaints and how champions handled those complaints and followed up with the families. There have been no recent complaints to Christina or to the board email. We discussed families sharing issues about security at pickup or lack of engaging activities with members in conversations, but there has not been any official communication to Christina regarding those concerns. We did share those tonight with the after-school program staff when they were here. We also looked at enrollment numbers, and they are steady with little variance month to month. And then they came to present and have our discussion. So if you missed that part, you can watch the video once it goes up on the YouTube. Some facility project updates. The baseball field is almost done. We are waiting on a landscaper to move forward for the entrance. And we also need to put more soil in the spring due to compaction. All of that heavy snow is going to really require a lot more soil. And then we also just touched base on the structural repair, some forthcoming purchase orders, and some value-added changes on the scope of the project, which includes the removal of water tanks in the main mechanical room and 6 water expansion tanks, a storage unit, and additional lighting. The Bartle toilet room renovation, it continues to move along and should be completed by early February. The pre-K classroom renovation bid meeting, was that held on the 16th? All right, it was held on the 16th. That project is estimated to be done by the end of the summer so that we can open an additional 15 general education pre-K seats in the fall. And then we did discuss field trip updates on cost structure. Christina had asked the staff for feedback. The staff brought up a question about whether this could be based off of mileage rather than out of state. For example, a trip to Philadelphia is actually pretty close, but it is considered out of state. So some other staff feedback included concerns about fundraising for chaperone costs. You know, if the fundraising is unsuccessful, then those costs would have to be absorbed by attendees, and depending on the size of the trip and the amount of chaperones needed, those costs could get pretty high. So that's something that we can continue to discuss in committee. And then we did our annual presentation on school budgets. Denise provided that for us. So the school budget, I think, presentations for the committee start next month. So everybody get ready. It is going to be a tougher budget season. We've been saying that for the last 2 years. And we just like to reiterate that again, that it is a tough budget season for the state overall. And so it's definitely going to be felt by school districts as well. Oh, shoot, I have to do the agenda items. All right, so for the agenda, item number 1 is approval of those organizations to be providers of the services that are listed in parentheses. Number 2 is the approval of the supplemental bill list. Number 3 is the approval of the bill list. Number 4 is the approval of treasurer reports. Number 5 is the approval of the board secretary's report. By the way, if you have the PDF of the agenda, all of these documents start around page 40. So you can follow along. There is the Board of Education certifications. So this is to, I want to point this out. So number 5 is the secretary's report that that has us accept the recommendation that no budgetary line item has been overextended in violation of NJAC 6A:2-23-2-11A. And then number 6 is sort of the same thing. It's the board certification. Am I correct in that, Denise? That nothing has been overextended. We are able to meet our financial Board of Education certifications. It is that we are able to, that we have sufficient funds to meet the district's obligations for the remainder of the year. There's a lot of news out there about other districts. So I wanted to make sure that that was very clear, okay? Not for us, hopefully, never. So number 7 is the approval of budget transfers. Number 8 is the travel-related expense reimbursements reports. Number 9 is the submission of the IDA Grant Amendment 1 application for the school financial year 26, and that's carryover funds. So you'll see the original grant amount and then the revised grant amount. Number 10 is the same, sort of the same thing. It's carryover funds for the ESEA grant for financial year 26. And you'll see the original amount and then the revised grant amounts. Number 11 is the approval for professional development. 2 of these are pass-throughs. C and D are pass-throughs. Am I correct? Right. C and D are pass-throughs for non-public schools, and A and B are for our district. Number 2 is the approval of bedside instruction. 12 is the approval for bedside instruction for 2 students. 13 is the approval of non-resident students to attend Highland Park High School. So welcome. Number 14 is the approval of a settlement agreement, and so is number 15. Number 16 is the approval of change orders and increases in the contractual amount, which is the Bartle structural repair bid that I discussed earlier. Again, the approval of proposed additional architectural services, again for the Bartle structural repair, that's number 17. And then number 18 is the approval for submission of that local recreation grant that I discussed was that used to be the municipal grant and is now open to school districts for some of our school spaces that are also shared with the community. That concludes my report. Are there any questions? Marilyn, how did I do?
You did great. Good job, Allison. I couldn't have done it better.
Cool stuff.
And I appreciate you doing it, not me. Thank you.
Any questions for about any of the items or? We're good.
I'm really excited about the head lice policy.
Yeah. I think everybody is excited about the head lice policy. Except the lice, yeah.
Um, Okay, if there's no, sorry. Oh, yeah, I know. So I do that now. I thought I just did it when you vote. I have subscriber. I'll just take us the photo. Okay, and so then for voting on personnel, we're going to approve some leaves of absences. One approval of a resignation for a part-time math interventionist at Irving. Approval of appointments having to do with the Asian Culture Club, covering leave and some more adjustments, varsity boys basketball, peaks and valleys, family math night, etc. There's also approval of transfers and approval of professional development presenters and presentation hours. And then for policies and regulations, for second reading, we have the management of pediculosis, head lice. That's and so now we move on to our second public comment of the night. The Highland Park Board of Education welcomes public participation. Is reserved this time for your comments. Do we have anyone online? Okay, anyone raising their hand? Okay.
Hi, this is Abby Stern Cardinal. Couple of quick comments. One with regard to the Comegno program evaluation. I really appreciate when it was first introduced and everything I heard about it, that it's really looking at the whole picture of MTSS, 504, IEP, and everything involved in kind of that triangle and pyramid as they've presented. I'm a little concerned that going forward, it's only focused on families who already have kids with IEPs in terms of reaching out for focus groups and just how kind of the whole landscape of that and CPAG, I would really hope and appreciate if it continues to include the broader kind of group of families of children with disabilities, whether or not they have an IEP and, you know, might end up being in that. There's also the families who have suspected disabilities and maybe have questions about the process. So I would hope that both in terms of CPAG and the program evaluation, that those are not forgotten. And I think that in the past they've been really well acknowledged and included. So I hope that that continues. Um, Another point I wanted to say about the technology and computer discussion, which I really appreciated hearing and agree with a lot of you about that. I would actually ask that when you're having this discussion, you even extend it a little bit further to a younger age, in terms of how the technology impacts even going as young as Irving. Sorry. I think that there's what Anne actually said about a lot of things going to use technology during COVID and not coming back. I suspect that that is also the case as early as Irving. There's a lot from what I hear and see that does use technology, and the teachers, you know, do an amazing job. And I fully support everything that they're doing. And I know that they put a lot of time and effort into developing these resources. But I do think there's a lot that can be done off of the computer that has moved to the computer, or I should say the Promethean board. I know in Irving they don't have Chromebooks and they shouldn't. I know that they're, you know, in the classroom at times and can be used as a resource, but it's not one-to-one, which is good. But I do think that there's a lot of technology that maybe transitioned that could transition back at this point. And so if you're looking at that, I would love to see you just look at that as well when you're looking at overall the technology use. And then, yeah, and I've heard a lot of families of specifically Irving families who share similar concerns about kind of the use and overuse of videos and Promethean board use and I'm sure everything that is on it is appropriate because the teachers are vetting it. So it's a different kind of situation. And then just for clarity, I know you can't answer it this minute, but assuming everybody votes in favor of the head lice policy, is it official after today? And if it is, will that be distributed out to the community quickly, hopefully? And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby. Do we have anyone else? Okay, so let's move on to board action items.
I move items 1 through 13.
Second.
Dr. Beatty?
Yes, except from abstaining from 10M through S.
10M through F.
S.
S, sorry.
You can see.
Ms. Casal-Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Maldonado. Dr. Pixley.
Yes.
Ms. Prus.
Yes.
Dr. Schoolman.
Yes.
Ms. Stanio.
Yes.
Ms. Bardman.
Yes.
For finance and facilities, I'd like to move numbers 1 through 18.
Second.
Dr. Beatty.
Yes.
Ms. Casal-Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Maldonado. Dr. Pixley.
Yes.
Ms. Prus.
Yes.
Dr. Schoolman.
Yes.
Ms. Stanio.
Yes.
Ms. Bardman.
Yes. For personnel, I would like to move 1 through 5.
Second.
Dr. Beatty.
Yes.
Ms. Casal-Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Maldonado. Dr. Pixley.
Yes.
Ms. Prus.
Yes.
Dr. Schoolman. Ms. Stanio.
Yes.
Ms. Bardman.
Yes. And for policies and regulations, I would like to move 1.
Second.
Dr. Beatty.
Yes.
Ms. Casal-Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Maldonado. Dr. Pixley.
Yes.
Ms. Prus.
Yes.
Dr. Schoolman.
Yes.
Ms. Stanio.
Yes.
Ms. Bardman.
Yes. Okay, well, now we can move on to our board liaison reports. Does anyone have one to report on? Okay.
So the Human Relations Commission is very, very busy. They have a number of events going on. So I'll start from the order of when they're going to happen. So one of the things is the Reformed Church is celebrating Black History Month with a different speaker on each Sunday in February. And this is at 10 a.m. And the Human Relations Commission's co-chair, Ms. Pauline Devonish, is actually speaking on the 15th. And she's going to speak about the theme is honoring the ancestors. She'll be discussing some teachings of Dr. Martin Luther King and how his life influences the work in the Human Relations Commission and Highland Park. The second thing going on is the Highland Park Sustainable Highland Park is doing Earth Day, the Earth Day Fair. I think that's the Highland Park, what is that called? The Spring Highland Park Street Fair that we have. They have their Earth Day section, and that's on May 3rd. The next one is the Caribbean flag raising, and this is going to happen June 4th at the community center at 5 o'clock. And I know we've got some time, but we got to think about June because it's nice and warm. And then after that would be the Pride flag raising on the 11th, June 11th at 5 p.m. at the community center. And last but not least is the Juneteenth flag raising. And that is also at the community center on June 18th at 5 p.m.
Okay, great. I have a CPAG update. Just a reminder that the first meeting to rebuild CPAG is this Thursday, 6 to 7:30, right here in the middle school cafeteria. Refreshments will be served. There will also be babysitting and translation. We have 2 speakers coming. One is Taylor, who is our consultant from the Rutgers Bridge program. And then we also have Clara, I forget her last name. Clara, from UBHC, who's coming to speak on emotional regulation and executive functioning. So we're really excited about that. Of course, it is open to parent, Blackus, thank you. Clara Blackus. So it is open to, any parent or caregiver that does want to attend. So we look forward to seeing people at 6 o'clock on Thursday. And then I do believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that one of the focus groups is for the greater parent community, not just special education parents.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So there's going to be four,
Yes.
and one of them will be for the greater good of understanding like 504s, MTSS, INRS, and all of that.
Yep. So that I did want to clarify that since we did have a public comment question about it. And that's it.
I'd like to update for the Highland Park Athletic Boosters. Designer Bag Bingo is coming back after we had Designer Bag Trivia last year. So Designer Bag Bingo will be on March 6th at the Community Center. And I am also announcing this to remind myself to buy the table that I said I was going to while there are still spots left. It's a really fun time. So I hope everyone can join us. It also, I believe, happens to be the same night as the middle school dance. So it'll just be a fun night in Highland Park. Anyone else? Okay, I do not have a president's report, so we can just go to old business. Okay. New business?
What is going to be the process with the new cell phone state law? Are we going to take that back to central leadership, or how's that going to work?
So we talked about it briefly in our most recent central leadership team when we were reviewing some of the data. So we're really just actually waiting for, my understanding is that it was signed in before Murphy left office, and now it's being punted to a new commissioner of education. So if you saw the new governor put a new commissioner coming from Texas in for it. So we're waiting to hear from her and her office what we need to do. So that usually comes out, usually with a Strauss update to policy and stuff like that. So we're just waiting for guidance from the New Jersey Department of Education specifically to figure out what it is that we might need to do at the second. We're fully in compliance. We actually really think at the high school we might be too, but just to get more guidance around that, in addition to the money that they're allocating to support schools that need to purchase things to help with that guidance. So we're waiting on how all that plays out. But my guess is that it'll be some sort of alert from the New Jersey Department of Education.
And I actually was at the NJSBA webinar where they actually discussed this, and they did mention that they're not sure yet. But one of the things that keeps coming up is that it does actually say that there needs to be age appropriate, differentiated guidelines. So like the high school probably will be a different requirement than it would be saying like, Bartle or middle school. So I just wanted to add that.
And I would just like to thank our maintenance and ground staff for all of the work that they did in order to clear the snow and ice so that kids could get to school safely today, kids and staff. Okay, if there's nothing else for new business, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye. Thank you.
Everyone.